Borneo is the third largest island in the world, rich with wildlife. This is an area extremely rich with biodiversity, with many endemic species of plants and animals. In the short period of just 10 years between 1994 and 2004, 361 new species were identified and described, with thousands more just waiting to be discovered. Borneo is also the home of many famous endangered species, such as the orangutans, elephants, and rhinos. Among the relatively unknown endangered animals, Borneo is also the home of the clouded leopard, the sun bear, and the endemic Bornean gibbons. During the 1950s, Borneo was covered extensively with tropical rainforest, but the ever-increasing rate of deforestation in the last 50 years rapidly shrank the area of the ancient Bornean forests.
This is one of the most spectacular places. It's not a place where you can bump into colorful life all the time. It's not like Eastern Africa where you see an incredible abundance of biomass. This is a place of small miracles. And it's one of the most incredible places when you listen and feel the forest. This is a place where lots of adventurers, explorers like Alfred Russel Wallace and the disciples of Linnaeus ventured in to find new territory, new species. And it's still the place to go if you venture into these unknown territories in Borneo, where you would find in each expedition a couple of new species at least. It's one of the places where you can sit in the middle of this dipterocarp forest and use the trick that you can use in any environment. You sit still and you let the forest move around you. From the beginning, it's like walking into a cathedral, some of the lowland rainforest. I'm not a religious person, let me begin by saying that. But it is so religious in a way. It's so soul cleansing. It's like a retreat to be in this place. And to me, this is the Borneo that I love. And that's become a second home. But this is not what it looks like in most places these days. This is what it looks like. This is the Borneo that I went to in 1988. And this is the Borneo that I've worked in so much. And the strangest thing is that as a photographer, you're out there to try to show the realms, the encapsulated realms that are heaven-like. But to come to those places, you travel through purgatory. You travel through hell to find encapsulated heavens. So in this story, now published in the November issue of National Geographic magazine, we turned the coin and we said, let's focus on what's really happening to Borneo. And this is what it looks like. And to me, this is like a very, very nasty nightmare. This is like something out of Lord of the Rings. You know, it can't be true. But this is what it looks like in so many areas. And it's quite depressing, of course. This is the third largest island in the world. It used to be covered with dense rainforest, peat swamp forest. But at this rate that it has been leveled now since the 70s, it's one of the worst ecological disasters in history. And this, to me, looks like something came from some other planet and just dropped and spread like cancer.
The death of a forest, the birth of big profits, dreaded by conservationists but cherished by boardrooms. Sarawak in Malaysian Borneo is the world's biggest exporter of tropical timber. It's an industry worth $2 billion a year, and according to some, profit has taken the place of protection as the rainforests have virtually disappeared. It's made fortunes for some and led to widespread allegations of corruption.
Indonesia is now the world's third largest emitter of greenhouse gases after China and the United States. 80% of our emissions are caused by destruction of the environment. If you look at the satellite images, you see the forest crumbling. Orangutans can no longer survive. People are suffering more and more the consequences of deforestation. The seeds of tropical trees cannot be stored in a freezer. They will die. So the only way to preserve the biodiversity is by creating a living gene bank. If we, mankind, someday change our attitude and start caring about the future of our planet, we will still have the genetic material to do the necessary reforestation.
We couldn't have any guides or interpreters because nobody wanted to take the risk to join us. Because there's so much corruption in some of the places we worked, and most of the places we worked, unfortunately. So, for example, one of our drivers said that, well, they know where I live, so I can't be seen with you. So we had to jump out of the cars and walk into the night or into the logging concessions.
Without transparency, it's difficult to know for sure. Sarawak doesn't reveal its financial dealings in the logging or palm oil industries, nor details of the concessions given or revenue generated. It all comes under the leadership of the state's powerful chief minister, Abdul Taib bin Mahmoud.
These workers are Indonesian workers. About 1 million workers came to Borneo to find a new way of life, to have a good job. But what happens now is that they have logged almost everything in southern Kalimantan, which means that there is not a future for a lot of people.
The state government here has been making money carving up Sarawak into lucrative logging concessions. They maintain, however, that most of this region, 70% of it, is still forested, and of that, most of it is primary rainforest. But according to conservationists, today in North Borneo, they say that less than 20% of virgin rainforest remains standing. Sarawak is largely left to manage its own affairs by federal government, providing 30 MPs who all support the government. They are known as its fixed deposit, the reason why it can consolidate power. But many have begun to question the role of the chief minister and his family businesses playing in the progress of Sarawak, and exactly who is benefiting.
By right, Sarawak being a huge state and so rich in natural resources, oil and gas, timber, huge land, and with only a very tiny population, we should be enjoying one of the best standard of living in the world. You know? We are actually sleeping on gold, you know, in the state of Sarawak. But how come we, the natives, still suffer one of the highest rate of poverty in the country?
These people are the indigenous Iban, and they are poor. They can't buy support and are now locked in a fight for land they say is theirs, but which the government sold to a palm oil company. They don't have title deeds. They come from an era where land was designated by how far you could walk.
My grandfather before, he told my father, this is our land, this is the boundary, this is the other one people, this side is others,
They've been fighting in court for 12 years for the land and have been waiting for a verdict for the last 3. The Sarawak Chief Minister failed to respond to our request for an interview, but the state maintains land claims follow legal process. Big money earnings from timber are beginning to decrease as the forests disappear. Now the state government is looking to build 12 hydroelectric dams, destroying thousands of acres of forest land, even though the state already has an overcapacity of electricity. For the Iban, the prospect of life without their land is a bleak one.
If we lose, this is in court. It's better we die.
To companies, forests and land represent digits on a spreadsheet. To the tribes of Borneo, they represent life and a traditional past. Without their land, the future is far from certain.
There are so many species that obviously suffer from this. We can't even count them. I mean, there's numerous species. But one that we get attached to because of their intelligence and because they're both funny and sweet and fascinating, obviously, are the orangutans. And these orangutans get caught, you know, when you log huge areas and you have sometimes then islands of forest in the middle of these huge areas. Lots of animals get caught. A lot of them burn or just go up in smoke. But those who survive will then end up on these islands. And what happens then is that female orangutans with babies, they will then venture out into these wastelands or into these plantations when they run out of food. And then the mothers are usually killed because plantation workers or logging people will then find them and kill the mother and try to take the baby, because you can sell baby orangutans. And this is illegal, but it's also understandable. You can actually earn a lot of money. When they club the mother or hit her or slay her with a machete or shoot, most of the babies die too. A lot of them that are captured and then kept as pets contract human diseases and infections.
The situation is very desperate. There are very few orangutans, less than 15,000 left in the wild. Moreover, these orangutans are distributed in small patches, and an orangutan needs a huge area of forest in order to survive. So if you cut a forest area into pieces, each of those populations becomes too small to survive in the long term. So the threat of extinction is very, very real. If we don't do something now, in the next 1 or 2 years, to protect the remaining orangutan habitat, forget it. We've lost them forever.
In other parts of Kalimantan, man-made bushfires continuously threaten to engulf the habitat of orangutans. The local people struggle to fight the fires with the simple equipment they have. The results are disastrous. Big areas of rainforest are destroyed. A year ago, this was a woodland where hundreds of indigenous plants and animals took shelter in.
The beauty of the world's third largest island is undeniable, but Borneo's role as a sanctuary for the wonders of the natural world is in danger. Although much of the island's terrain is supposedly protected under conservation laws, Indonesian authorities seek to open up millions of hectares for palm oil cultivation. In what is a growing multi-billion-dollar industry, Indonesia leads the world in palm oil production, second only to Malaysia in its exports. Palm oil-based biodiesel offers a cost-effective, easy-to-harvest, seemingly renewable alternative to fossil fuel, and both Indonesia and Malaysia see it as the linchpin of a future economic boom. But the creation of new palm oil plantations means the devastation of primary growth rainforest through logging and slash-and-burn land clearing. The rumble of bulldozers and the hum of chainsaws is now a common sound in Borneo, an ecosystem already ravaged by decades of illegal timber harvesting. On the waters of the Kapuas River, Borneo's longest and main thoroughfare, illegal logging is very much in evidence.
This is normal. Timber come from the inside national park to outside. Yeah. But I'm curious this legality of timber, because there is no legal company surrounding this area.
Yet the devastating impact of logging pales when compared to the billion tons of carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere from deliberately set fires just last year. Worldwide, deforestation is the second greatest cause of greenhouse gases after fossil fuels. But Indonesia says it's worth the risk to modernize underdeveloped infrastructure and, above all, tackle poverty. And this farmer who depends on jungle harvests says the onslaught of the palm plantations will bring only destruction and hunger as his traditional habitat vanishes. Indonesian official policy is to allow new plantation in what it considers degraded forest.
These are not big forests. This could be those that are allowable by the standards of the Ministry of Forestry.
This is challenged by an environmental expert.
Even though it's a secondary forest, still have chance to regrow, to regenerate, to become a big forest.
And as Borneo's forests are cut down to make the world more fuel efficient, many are asking, who will be left to mourn once the flora and fauna are gone forever?
My friends, the Penan. This is one of the people's truest to the oldest of human lifestyles. Hunter-gatherers in the more desolate parts of Borneo, still pretty desolate. But they're marked with sadness because they're losing their realm. Surprise, surprise. The man Tebaran, I'm working on a documentary on a man called Tebaran. Tebaran told me a story that was so strong. While making poison darts like this, he's drying them here. They use a poison called tajam. It's sap from a tree that's very, very powerful and potent as a venom. He said that my grandfather showed my father the tajam tree. That it's essential, of course, for their entire life. I mean, that's how they hunt and get their food. And my father showed me the tree when I was ready for it. And I showed my children the tree. And then, after that, the machines arrived. And the tree is not there anymore. The thing is, the orangutans, they have advocates fighting for them. But when it comes to the Penan, they're not very successful. I think I'm a sort of realistic optimist in a way, I think. But I'm not very optimistic when it comes to the Penan. I think they will lose their culture and their way of life, no doubt. And if they would be happy to do so, that would be fine. If they would say, you know, yeah, I am so sick and tired of eating this sago porridge. It's like wallpaper glue. Fine. But the thing is, some of these people don't. They want to have, the only thing they want is to have a patch of land where they belong. Have we seen it before? Yes. We have seen it before. But it's strangely sad how history has a tendency to repeat itself. This is my friend. When he's going for a walk to his neighboring tribesmen, the people that live in other nomadic settlements, he used to be able to walk in darkness. The people that walked in darkness, now they say that the sunlight gives them diseases and they die. It's not them. They don't get diseases from light. They get diseases from outside, of course, from new people coming in. So to me, this picture is very telling. This is a little group of nomadic Penan that travels on the roads made by loggers. Now, this is the Borneo I want to give to my sons. This is the Borneo that I want you to be able to see, go to and enjoy. But in order for us to save Borneo, we need to give the people in Borneo a bright future. We need to demand products that are sustainable, and we need to care. As a 20-year-old, I came to Borneo for the first time. I had a dream that Borneo would be the richest rainforest on the planet, that it would be colorful, teeming with life, extraordinary in all ways. And it was true. It was absolutely all of that. But what I didn't know as much about was the incredible logging. It was just overwhelming. It made me really think that if nothing else, if my job will never make a difference, I cannot live with not trying. I became determined to follow the process and see if a picture and a film can make a difference. What is important is to try to affect change, and I repeat that like a mantra because I think that is what pictures can do. The thing is, we have a tendency to think that we cannot personally, as individuals, make a difference. I meet that quite frequently, that people feel that it's up to somebody else. What I feel is that when I see this, when I get to get all of this knowledge, the references that I get from this, I feel that that is definitely wrong. I think we can all make a difference.
I designed this concept of involving people from all around the world in adopting a piece of land. Google Earth is such a powerful visualization tool to show people that what they are doing can have an impact. People can actually click on their piece of land and see what trees are growing there, what are the benefits of those trees for the climate, for the local people, for the wildlife and for the economy. We hope by using Google Earth we can get so much land adopted that we can set up an endowment fund that will forever protect this land and the orangutans and all the other wildlife we have released in it.
I have the references working in 80 different countries during these 23 years, and I know we're 6.5 billion people on the planet. But the thing is, we have to use nature sustainably. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but that's what we need to do. We have to give them a better future, a more sustainable future. We have to try to give them alternatives that are good, that they can prosper, they can live in a good way, in a sustainable way, without completely massacring their nature. And by consuming the right things, by making the right everyday choices, by using your voice, our voices, in a democratic process, if you may, we can really make a difference. 30% of this national park has been logged illegally due to corruption. And the thing is, as soon as we go to a hardware store or a furniture place and we say, oh, this looks great, I'd love to buy this for my balcony. Wouldn't it be really cool to have our keys in this little nice and cute cupboard? Yes, darling, it looks fabulous. Please look what it's made of and if it's certified, FSC, Forest Stewardship Council certified or not. Otherwise, we will, without knowing, contribute to this. And this is the oil palm. So here we go. We have lowland forest here and peat swamp, and then this is oil palm. And when you fly over it, it looks green. I've met a lot of tourists, a lot of visitors that say, isn't it beautiful and green here? It might be beautiful, but it's not a jungle. And it goes on and on and on. And what needs to be done is to find ways to obviously be able to grow palm oil, but in a sustainable way. So this is one of the major issues right now in that part of the world. But when we import eco-fuel, partly made from oil palm, we are also contributing to this. So we have to ask for the right product. If we're all, allergic to nuts, we would definitely look, at the package of the product we're buying so we won't suffocate one nice day. But when it comes to environmental products and the environment and sustainability, I don't think we really look. It's hard to be a consumer. What can I buy? What can I do in my life without screwing up a place somewhere? It's not easy. But I think we have to start a process where I think we already started a process where we care and where we think we can make a difference. And 6.5 billion people, we're bound to be able to make a difference, both politically and as consumers. So there are projects in Borneo and in Sumatra where also you can find orangutans, where they save orangutans and they create orphanages. So part of my assignment, most recent assignment, was try to visualize this. When we are small, human beings, from 1 year to 3, we have a certain we have a certain concept of life, basically. We see things and remember things in a special way. Orangutans, they are more mature. Their brains can handle information and memory and emotions better, actually, than we can in that age, between those years, which is both frightening and fascinating at the same time, which means that baby orangutans that witness when they can see their mother being killed in front of them, remembers this and becomes completely traumatized by it. They have this strong memory of this. So it takes them time to trust people. This is a male that is put to anesthetized so they can treat him against some diseases that he has contracted in captivity, illegal captivity. This male was so afraid of the male veterinarian, so this female babysitter, they call them, she has to comfort him by holding his hand and caressing him gently so that this veterinarian can work. And it just takes time for them to trust men, especially. Females, women, it's much easier. But even then, from the beginning, it's hard. And when people tell me, a lot of people tell me animals don't have a soul, to me it's like saying the Holocaust didn't exist. Or it's like saying Borneo is fine, there's no logging in Borneo. It's like saying the glaciers aren't melting. Some things are just so stupid, and it gets to me. Here we have a baby orangutan, and look at the next frame. There's just certain moments where you just know that they feel so much that we can't explain. It's like looking at whales, like orcas, dolphins, or larger whales. We just don't know what they think, what their concept of life is. We don't understand. That doesn't mean that they don't think, of course. Again, I'm preaching to the choir, but it gets so frustrated sometimes with these things. These babies are they're going to bed. But instead of taking them one by one, they have so many. In this place, they have 500 orphaned orangutans. 500 without a mother, 500 that needs to be taught how to become an orangutan again. They don't know how to climb, really. They don't know what to eat. They don't know what to be afraid of. They don't know that a snake, they should stay away from a snake. So the babysitters need to teach the orangutans how to become orangutans. And that is a paradox, I think, that we, representing the worst carnivore, the worst predator, the worst enemy, will then be the ones that help them. But that is the wonderful thing about us, is that we can set things right. We can set things right if we want to. But we have to want to.
We have to do whatever we can to protect those remaining orangutan habitats, which are still good, which still have enough wild orangutans. There are very few of those left. One area in central Kalimantan, as large as 700,000 hectares, we are now trying to protect under a Depth for Nature swap deal. We hope it will work out.
I will never forget this woman to the left. She was very, very sweet, very forthcoming, and she just loved the orangutans. And it's so cute because she is in love with this orangutan, I'm sure. But the orangutan is even more in love with her. And she said, look at this. He loves when I do this to him. I do it every day. And then she started to tickle him, in the face, as you can see. He's got this strange, huge tooth. Have you seen that? He looks so funny. And she laughed as much as he did. But then it's so cool because right after this picture was taken, he looks at his orangutan friends like, Look, we have this special relationship. She's my girl, you know. Look at this. It's like, you know, we have a thing here going. And then, but look when he looks back at her with love. You know, when you work with wild animals, wild orangutans, you obviously never get this kind of relationship, of course. They're wild, they stay away from you. They can be curious sometimes, but they choose to stay away, which is wise. But as soon as you get this kind of relationship, which is to begin with not good, but at the same time it is very emotional. I think a lot of people, having met dolphins or orangutans or gorillas or, you know, whatever you can for a moment touch with your hands or with your heart and get really close to, that could be a memory for life. They can change you. I would like them to be wild. I would like them to stay away from me. And I cherish the moments when I've been covered up behind all these things, just waiting for the wild orangutans. And they have given me gifts from the forest when they come to me as wild individuals. And not to me, but they expose themselves so I can take pictures and film them. This is not the way it should be, even though it's charming. But this is necessary. And again, this is a way for us to try to set things right. And a lot of people can now adopt these young primates and give them a better life. This is, again, something to ponder. We're 6.5 billion people on the planet. Why should we care about an orangutan, for God's sakes? 2 children per minute die from malaria. Does it matter if Borneo is wiped out and all its wildlife? Does it really matter if all the glaciers melt? Does it matter at all if we pollute the oceans? I think yes, because the diagnosis is crystal clear that something is wrong. We're handling our planet in a way that is not wise. My countryman Carl Linnaeus, the guy who invented the system of taxonomy, said 250 years ago that everything is connected. It's pretty smart. Nobody has said anything smarter for 250 years. I mean, it's really smart. And that we need to understand. We need to be able to relate to these issues. We need to understand the importance of our daily choices and what we do, what we make of our lives. So when we lose the orangutans, when we can lose a number, we will lose a number of species. But it's like a pilot told me once, if you lose some parts of a plane in midair, you know, you fly this thing, and all of a sudden you hear this sound, and you say, oh, that's something on the wing, what's that? It just fell off. Oh, he's still flying. It didn't really matter, I think. This seems okay. Yeah, Roger, this is great. What do you say? Yeah, this is fine, no problem. Okay. And, oh, something is burning right here. Is this crucial? Is this important to... No, it will be okay, I'm sure. Well, we're still flying. It works well. But eventually, as we lose cards in this house of cards, the plane will crash, and that's what we're seeing. These are some of our cards that we have presented, that I have tried to show you in this house of cards. I just wish that when my kids, I have 2 boys, one is 3 years old, his name is Einar, and one is 7 years old, Ansgar. 2 blonde boys with blue eyes. That when they grow up, when they're 15 or 20 or 25 and they go with their friends or girlfriends or whatever to Borneo or to Alaska, or they go to Iceland, or they go to the Great Barrier Reef and they want to take this giant stride out into this incredibly diverse and colorful realm, it should be there for them. I want them to be able to sit in a tree. I don't know if they will want to, I wanted to be able to sit in a tree in Borneo and listen to the gibbons. I'm afraid that they will not be able to. That's what I'm afraid of. And if nothing else, if we can't find one other driving force to affect change, think of children and grandchildren and their children. What is the legacy? What do we want to leave for them?
You have to get the support of the local people. So we have to do education and extension work. We have to teach the people that there doesn't need to be a conflict for land between them and animals, them and nature. There are ways in which they can make a better use of smaller areas of land, getting a much higher income and therefore completely taking away the need to encroach upon other forest areas. So it is still very well possible for nature and humans to coexist, and that is the only way to go, because if we cut off everything in our environment, in the end we will as well suffer, because there won't be enough medicines, there won't be a stable climate anymore. Everybody is suffering if we kill our environment.
We were able to change the local climate. We have now more than 30% rainfall in that area compared to the surrounding areas, and at the same time have a huge sequestration of greenhouse gases inside that new vegetation. We have really created a place where we have a harmony between nature and people. I wanted to show on a place where there was total destruction of nature that it was possible to restore a fully functioning rainforest there, which could benefit both nature and people. So the orangutans I've been rescuing would have a safe place, but at the same time to create a sustainable source of income and permanent job opportunities for the local people.